Hello, and welcome to Play Reviews. Today we'll be reviewing Hamlet by William Shakespeare, and we'll be discussing the topic of the frailty of women.
To begin, let's start with some background information. During Shakespearean times, women were seen as servants to men, and they were considered disobedient if they did not follow their orders. Disobedience was seen as a crime against religion during the Shakespearean times.
Hamlet portrays women as weak, not through any one or two actions. They don't do anything particularly bad in Hamlet. But the two women in Hamlet, Ophelia and Gertrude, are both very weak in character. Shakespeare portrays them as rather incapable or not able to compete with men on an intellectual standing, as opposed to a physical standing where they are about the same.
Shakespeare introduces the theme of frailty in women in Act 1, Scene 2, when Hamlet says, "Frailty, thy name is woman," when he is referring to his mother Gertrude. In Act 1, Scene 2, Gertrude has just remarried only 2 months after her husband, King Hamlet, has died. Hamlet, her son, has seemed to lost faith in the strength of women as a whole, and this is why he says that. Furthermore, frailty can be seen in women later in the play when Ophelia goes mad after the death of her father Polonius. As seen in this scene,
"And will it not come again, and will it not come again? No, no, he is dead. Go to thy death bed. He will never come again. His beard was as white as snow. All flaxen was his poll. He is gone, and we cast away and moan. God hath a mercy on his soul. And of all Christian souls, I pray God, God be with you." You must sing a down, and you call him a down up. Oh, how the wheel becomes it is a false steward that stole his master's daughter. Thy rosemary, that's for remembrance. Pray you, love, remember there's pansies for those thoughts. There's fennel for you and columbines. There's rue for you, and here's some rue from me. We may call it herb of grace. Oh, Sundays, oh, you must wear your rue with a difference. There's a daisy. I give you some violets, but be withered they when my father died. There stays a good end. And will it not come again, and will it not come again? No, no, he is dead. Go to thy deathbed.
The scene is quickly followed by the ultimatum of Ophelia's insanity, in which she kills herself, as shown here.
Oh, what a world this is!
Ophelia's state of insanity and her eventual descent into suicide both show the frailty of women and the deterioration of the mind.
readers of Hamlet will never know whether Ophelia killed herself that day or whether it was merely an accident. However, in Act 5, the gravediggers at the beginning of the act suggest that it was a suicide. In Act 1, Scene 5, the first gravedigger says to the other, "Is she to be buried in Christian burial when she willfully seeks her own salvation?" The second gravedigger replies, "I tell thee she is. Therefore make her grave straight. The crowner hath sat on her and finds it Christian burial." The next gravedigger responds with, "How can that be, unless she drowned herself in her own defense?" "Why, 'tis found so." "Nay, but hear me, good men, Delver." The gravedigger continues with, "Give me leave. Here lies the water. Good. Here stands the man. Good. If the man go to this water and drown himself, it is, will he, nil he goes. Mark you that. But if the water comes to him and drown him, he drowns not himself. Argal, he that is not guilty of his own death shortens not his own life." Ophelia's suicide was not the only evidence in the play Hamlet that suggested that women are weak mentally. Earlier in the play, Hamlet and Ophelia get in a confrontation. In the confrontation, Hamlet tells Ophelia that she must go to a nunnery and that he never loved her. This is further evidence that suggests that Hamlet does not think very highly of women as a whole. The frailty of women proves to be a large theme in Hamlet at the end of the play, because during the middle of the play, Hamlet had told his mother that he was really not crazy, and Gertrude had kept his secret. Gertrude kept this secret in part because she is frail, and Hamlet overpowered her in her room. Gertrude was used to following the orders of men like Claudius, and with her son Hamlet it was no different. Because Gertrude kept Hamlet's secret, she was able to keep from Claudius that he was really not crazy. This ensured that the plot ended as it did because Claudius figured out too late that Hamlet was out to kill him.
The weakness of women is important in Hamlet also because it gives the men someone to power around, because after a while the men have stopped listening to each other, and it makes them feel better to have someone to boss around. This weakness of character also shows what the men in Hamlet would be like if they did not have the mental strength they do. The kingdom would be a run-down mess and an emotional disaster.
In retrospect, the frailty of women is very important to Hamlet because women are underestimated throughout the whole entire play, and it does have an effect on the plot and how things turn out. I believe there are many reasons why Shakespeare portrayed women as frail in Hamlet. One of these reasons could be due to the prejudice that surrounded women back in the time that Shakespeare wrote the play. Another reason he might have made women so frail is to contrast with the overwhelming wit of Hamlet and his very strong mind.
It cannot, however, be said that Shakespeare was sexist. In many of his works, there is a very strong female lead, like in As You Like It with Rosalind, or Much Ado About Nothing with Beatrice. Shakespeare does not seem to be sexist in any regards toward women. It just seems to be Hamlet, and maybe a couple of other tragedies that include women as weak characters.
To help me further understand why Hamlet made women frail in his play, I asked a well-known professor on his opinion on the frailty of women. Professor, what do you think of the frailty of women in Shakespeare's Hamlet?
As you can see from the professor's response, there's not much more to be said about the weakness of females in Hamlet.
And there you have it. Please join us next time for the new edition of Play Reviews.